What is up, everyone, and welcome into Rising to the Occasion. I am Josh Mahler, joined, as always, by Jeremy Russell. And, folks, we are only 2 weeks away from NFL playoffs. And Jeremy, looking at the NFL, we were just talking about this, too. This entire season has just been absolutely wild.
To be completely honest with you, Josh, I don't even know if WoW necessarily even covers it realistically. Like, let's think about some things here. Like, we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs, the dynasty. We've literally been watching them being dominant over what feels like actually has been over a decade. I mean, they're sitting at home at a 6-9 record after Patrick Mahomes with the unfortunate news of him tearing his ACL. That's just an obvious tragic thing, especially when it comes down to the last couple of weeks. I mean, I know it was kind of hard for them to obviously get into the playoffs, but there's a lot of things to happen. But still, it's just unfortunate things. Obviously, thoughts and condolences go to Patrick Mahomes for a healthy and speedy recovery, of course. But I mean, outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, talking about them, like look at the New England Patriots. Like with a rookie quarterback, the crazy thing is they're the second seed sitting in the AFC here, and like we've got not one Josh, but two rookie QBs in legitimate MVP conversations here.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, just looking at the teams that have been successful this year compared to the teams that have just not been that way. It's crazy. It's like you mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you go on to the flip side of it, the New England Patriots, who haven't been good since Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were at the helm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a totally upside down type of year for sure.
100%, dude. And like talking about a little bit of, like MVP stuff, like Matthew Stafford, like he's throwing 40 touchdowns at the age of 37. Like it's already crazy to think like we got Philip Rivers now back in the NFL and doing what he's doing. But I mean, this is a complete different situation. Like with Matthew Stafford, he's just having a heck of a year. And it's just betting favorite to win his first ever MVP award. Like he definitely has a really, really good shot for it. I mean, this is literally the kind of season to where like honestly, the script kind of writes itself realistically, if I had to say so.
Yeah, well, and today we're going to be playing or kind of breaking down the playoff picture, the entire playoff picture, because we are only a couple weeks away from the playoffs. Who's in? Who's fighting for their lives? And really, who's shocked us all? We've got 14 playoff spots, and only two remain up for grabs heading into Week 17. It is just it's been a wild year, as we've already discussed, Jeremy. But it's just getting even crazier as it comes down the stretch.
100%, dude. I know it's getting down to the wire here, then it's inching closer and closer to the Super Bowl here. But obviously, like you said, we're going to be covering down the AFC chaos, the NFC West. Like, there's not just a one, there's a two, but there's a three-way battle for the number one seed. It's crazy to think, but like, and even talking about the clutch rookie quarterbacks, like we've seen in years, like in kind of give you guys our prediction for how the final 2 weeks will shake out. But I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into it, Jeremy. You go ahead and start us off. Take us through the AFC.
All right, so here we go. Here's where we stand in the AFC after week 16. The top seed is obviously essentially a two-horse race between Louis, Denver and the New England Patriots, both sitting at that 12-3 record. Like, I'll start out with the Denver Broncos first. If my buddy Carson's watching and listening to this, I know he's going to love it because he's a big-time Broncos fan. Like, you are currently in the number one seat. You're in the driver's seat. But the big attribute to get in that driver's seat is this guy named Bo Nix. Like this is his second year, and he's thrown for 3,256 yards with 23 tutties this year. But Josh, that's not just a loss of a huge game to Jacksonville, minus obviously 34-20. It seemed like I can't remember how many games in a row Denver won. I think it was up to 11 if memory serves me correctly or something along those lines. But I mean, that might come back to haunt them a little bit, but like we say week in and week out, you just got to play one game at a time, and you can't think anything back. You just got to focus 1 week at a time here.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is looking forward this week. It's going to be really exciting because you got Denver, who plays Kansas City on Thursday, which
Mm-hmm.
is Christmas night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday is Christmas. Yeah, that's so. I mean, that's going to be really fun. Which you think of normally being kind of a terrifying matchup, and you think of that one being one of those that especially for Denver, it's never going to go well. But I mean, the Chiefs are pretty much done. I mean, they are done. They're not making the playoffs. So really, Patrick Mahomes, he's out of the season, like you mentioned, with that ACL and LCL, with Gardner Minshew starting for them. So it's going to be, kind of kind of the complete role reversal there, as Michael Scott once said, my, how the tables have turned.
Right.
Or sorry, how the turntables. That's how Michael Scott says it. But
But
I just I look at this and it's just so crazy because you've got Denver now with everything ahead of them, and then the Kansas City basically in where Denver usually sits, trying to play upset alert. Except this time it's Kansas City being the upset team, playing against Denver, who is like just one of the most on fire teams right now in all of the land.
100%, dude. Denver's been an absolute workhorse, no pun intended. But I mean, like you look at going to them, like you said, playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, they should win that game. But then, like you think outside of that, I know I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead. Like they got the Chargers in Week 18, and LA beat them back in, I believe it was Week 3, if memory serves me correctly. Then if let's look at this, if Denver loses that game and finish tied with the Chargers, they could drop all the way to the fourth seed and have to travel in the wild card round. I mean, I know that's the last thing that Denver definitely wants to be thinking about, just because they don't want to play in the wild card. They want to get the first round bye. But I mean, only time will tell, Josh, and we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about, with how much that game means specifically for Denver. But
Hmm.
it's such a huge swing, and that's what kind of makes everything about these last couple weeks so crazy and again wild, as you're getting closer to wild card, no pun intended. But then you look over the New England Patriots, 12-3, which is just so crazy. Like I said, haven't been this good and this dominant since Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were at the helm. This is a team that has completely flipped the script, and this is Drake May. The story of Drake May, which I guess not a rookie, right? This is his second year, so but still a quarterback, young quarterback, and he just led the team to a playoff clinching win over Baltimore this past
Yeah.
weekend, 28-24. He went through a career high of 380 yards.
Mm.
Uh, they were down 11 points, Jeremy. And then he led an 89-yard game-winning drive with under 3 minutes to go. And just, I mean, looking at this guy, man, if you would have told me back in August, before the season started, that the Patriots would be a 2 seed with a young QB, I would have laughed you out of the room. That's just, there's no way that that's happening. But now here we are, and that's exactly what's happened for the Patriots.
100%, dude. And, like, here's the even crazier part to win out. Like, if they win out, which you think about it, look at their schedule, they should, because they got the Jets and the Dolphins and if they do win out, they finish 14-3. That might not even get them the 1 seed if Denver also wins out. Like, that's the crazy thing. It's because you think about it, because Denver has the common games tiebreaker 6-0 to 4-1. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that is really crazy.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about the 3 seed there, because you've got Jacksonville Jaguars at 11-4. Trevor Lawrence has 13 touchdowns in his last 5 games. Just been an unbelievable and incredible tear for him. He's been looking just totally different. The Trevor Lawrence that we always expected has finally shown up, and they actually just now took down and in a crazy fashion, just really dismantled Denver 34-20. They're on a 6-game win streak, and people are finally starting to talk about them as what would be a legitimate contender, and as what we what we expected in Jacksonville to be. They're finally that, and again, you've got Trevor Lawrence finally being that quarterback that we expected him to be, really ever since he came into the league as well.
100%. Like we were all waiting for Trevor Lawrence to finally break out of the shell and just become who Trevor Lawrence truly is. And he's a phenomenal quarterback. Don't get me wrong, Josh, but he's also got some great people behind him. That's like one guy in particular, like the OC, the offensive coordinator, a guy named Liam Cohn. Like since they traded for Jacoby Myers for the Jaguars, like they're averaging 31.8 points per game. That's second in the NFL here. Like Trevor Lawrence, he said this is the most confident that he's ever felt in his career. Like they with numbers like that, 100%, you should be feeling pretty confident, if I had to say so. Like that play at Indianapolis this Sunday, if they win that and they clinch the AFC South, Josh, so there's definitely a lot of big time implications coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and we've also got the Pittsburgh Steelers that we've got to talk about sitting there at 9-6, somehow leading the AFC North, which is just crazy. Aaron Rodgers, yes, still playing. He had really what seemed like a vintage game against Miami to keep them ahead of Baltimore, and to see Pittsburgh sitting there again. I mean, this is another Pittsburgh type season where you've got Tomlinson just bringing them just right there where you're like, man, what are we supposed to do with this guy? And there they are. I mean, sitting there 9-6, and somehow they're at the top. Very very interesting to see how the AFC North ends up shaking out as well.
Yeah, there's so much to think about in the AFC North. I'm just trying to just wrap my mind around it being a Bengals fan. But going talking about Pittsburgh, there's one little problem though for that. Like Pittsburgh, they've had some history, and going into this next week with Cleveland, they haven't won in Cleveland since Halloween of 2021. They
Wow.
played there this Sunday, and if they lose and Baltimore beats Green Bay on Saturday night, suddenly, literally, the AFC's back to being absolutely wide open. Like, you never know what you're going to expect because, I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, and I mean, now the situation with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, I know I saw something about him having back contusions or back spasms or something like that. I mean, if that were to play out, Josh, there's definitely going to be a lot of gates open up for some of these teams here.
Yeah, and you think about the wild card too. That's a race that is really stacked. And we've talked about a couple of these teams, but you think of, okay, so you got the Chargers, then you've got the Bills that and the Texans, all between that 10-5, 11-4 mark.
Hmm.
I mean, this is really stacked. It's a bunch of teams that really all seem very deserving, and a bunch of teams that who knows who is going to come out ahead here. You
Who
got Jim
knows?
Harbaugh, who has the Chargers on a 4-game win streak right now. They just beat Dallas 34-17. Despite using 20 different offensive line combinations this year, they're sitting at 11-4, which is just incredible.
Oh, 100%, dude. It's incredible. I mean, you do what you gotta do. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or if it's 20 different offensive line combinations, but still, at the end of the day, a win's a win. Like, let's look at the Bills here. They're sitting at 11-4. They're always dangerous with that guy named Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's he's just different. I mean, he literally erased a 21-point deficit against the Patriots in Week 15 before unfortunately losing that game in the final minutes. I mean, that was definitely an unbelievable comeback, but it just wasn't meant to be at the final couple of minutes. Like he's back in the MVP conversation, and uh, as the defending champion, I mean, he's definitely got some bragging rights, and there's just a lot to think about because you can never expect the unexpected with Buffalo. It doesn't matter what package they're bringing out on the field, you always have to keep your eyes open just because if it's going to be a pass play, you never know when Josh Allen's going to use his legs if he doesn't like what he sees. Like now, I'll be moving on to Houston a little bit. Like talking about them sitting in that quiet 10-5 spot with a 7-game win streak. I mean, CJ Stroud he's just playing efficient football. He's playing great football, and the crazy thing is like they control their own destiny for the 5 seed just because a lot of people could say this can happen, blah 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 blah. But realistically, CJ Stroud and just the Houston Texans, they literally control their own destiny, and they want to see how it's going to come out for them.
Yeah, and it's been a crazy roller coaster of a year for them too. As far, it just feels like they've come so far as a team, and so really exciting for them. But
Hmm.
then looking at the teams on life support, and I say that with no pun intended because we're going to talk about Indianapolis with a guy
Yeah.
who is only maybe months away from, maybe having to need life. No, I'm just kidding. But Philip Rivers coming back for the Indianapolis Colts. Uh, Really cool story. I don't care who you are, such a fun story to see, a legend of the sport come back in here. But Indianapolis, they're going to be playing the 49ers on Monday Night Football, I guess right now as we speak. But so we don't know the outcome quite yet, although we will know the outcome by the time this is released. But they started at 8-2, but then lost 4 straight games. Daniel Jones, of course, with his Achilles injury that he had back in week 14. So, of course, again, like I said, Philip Rivers, who's 44 years old, comes out of retirement, starting for the Indianapolis Colts. Man, it's a cool story, but it's again been another wild ride for the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, 100%, dude. It's been a wild ride for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, hey, I guess the only thing talking about Pittsburgh kind of with Aaron Rodgers, I guess he's not the oldest quarterback in the league here anymore. But the crazy thing is, if they were to lose tonight, their playoff chances drop to 3%. I mean, that's literally you talk about that's basically elimination here. I mean, there's a lot here at stake. So, I mean, they got to take everything and throw it all out there. I mean, like I said, that's basically elimination here. But talking about another team, we got Baltimore and the Ravens. They're currently sitting at 7-8, and they can be officially eliminated if Pittsburgh does beat Cleveland this week. I mean, like I said, it's been since 2021 since they've beat them, but I mean, you can never know. And of course, obviously, the biggest story of the year, the Kansas City Chiefs are out of the playoffs for the first time since, it's been a little bit. We had to look back, and it was officially 2014
Wow.
that the Kansas City Chiefs have not made the playoffs. I mean, last time I could think about that, is that the paper bag era over their head, Josh, if memory serves you correctly, where they were booing the head coaches and everything?
Had to have been right around
Yeah.
that area. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, his ACL injury, that was in the final couple minutes there against the Chargers too. Like the fact that it comes so late, not only so late in the game, but also late in the season. Uh, Having surgery the next day in Dallas, and that's how focused he is on coming back, just trying to hurry up and get that done so he can be back on the field. And of course, not expecting to be back this year by any means. But Jeremy, I mean, is this an end of an era? It's 10 straight playoff appearances, 10 straight 10-win seasons, both streaks completely snapped.
I mean, I don't know. Like it's just not that they missed the playoffs here. They're 6-9. I mean, that's not like a typical Kansas City Chiefs season. Like that's a loss of a season, if my honest opinion. Like, but here's the biggest question for you, Josh. Like, can Mahomes even be ready for the start of the 2026 season? Like ACL recoveries, they're not short. I mean, they're a 9 to sometimes a year process to fully heal and everything. Like it's one thing if you sprain your thumb, like I get that, but I mean this is an ACL injury. This can literally take you out of commission here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine he'd be ready by the time
No.
2026 rolls around. But you could hope with today's sports science that something happens maybe, and he can get back on his feet. But all right, let's talk predictions. Quick predictions before we move to the NFC. AFC number one seed. Who do you have winning the AFC? I guess coming out as the number one seed, not winning, but winning that number one seed.
Coming out of it, to be completely honest with you, I know I talked about him briefly a little bit earlier, but I'm honestly going with the Denver Broncos here. Like, if let's think about this, just if they beat the Chiefs on Christmas, and even if they lose to the Chargers in Week 18, like I think I can honestly think New England drops one, but still, you look at what Bo Nix has really done with the Denver Broncos and Cortland Sutton and all the other guys that they have on their team, and they've just been an absolute power dominant team. I mean, the Broncos have really been riding along into the sunset, but I mean, they just seem like they're almost unstoppable, honestly, with how much Bo Nix can really make a drive and just make an absolute dominant series. It's just been absolutely crazy to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I like Denver, and I think Denver's got a really good shot. But I'm going with the Patriots. I do actually look
I
at
respect that.
that Chargers matchup, and I think that's a matchup that just feels like one that Denver will drop. The way that the Chargers have been rolling lately, and of course, I think New England takes care of business. And if they do that, and then of course with the Broncos dropping one, then the Patriots could get to one seed. And I feel most confident in Drake May and what he's been able to do. Of course, Ramondre Stevenson lighten
Hmm.
things up. I mean, they've just looked like such a different team this year. And so I think with all of that, number one seed Drake May getting a home playoff game in what feels like his rookie year, because I mean it's really the first year that he's really been that full time guy. That just feels like such a crazy season, and to see the Patriots completely bounce back in the way that they have. But all right, Jeremy, let's jump over to the NFC and talk about that conference. it's really where things kind of get interesting because you've got three NFC teams that are all fighting for that number one seed. So again, like I said, everything coming down to the wire, everything's very wild in these last couple of weeks leading into the playoffs, Jeremy.
100%. These last couple weeks leading to the playoffs. I mean, like I said, this is literally going to be make it or break it here. Like, there's a lot to look at stake here. I mean, let's start off just beginning with the Seattle Seahawks. Currently sitting at 12-3 and currently hold the top spot, obviously. Like, you think about this. The Seattle Seahawks, you look at what they've been bringing to the table, they've been absolutely hot. Like, they just beat the Rams in overtime 38-37 on Thursday night. I mean, it was an absolute barn burn. It was an absolute thriller. I stayed up late to watch the entire game just to see how that played out. I mean, you look at what they brought to the table. It was an absolute thriller. Like ESPN's FPI, it gives them a 47.6% chance to get the 1 seed, which is obviously is the best odds in the NFC. Like, but there's always a catch to some things here. Like, if they finish the season with 2 road games at Carolina this upcoming Sunday, then they got the San Francisco 49ers in the week 18. And Seattle actually really good on the road if you think about it, Josh. I mean, they're 13-2 in away games dating back to 2024. I mean, it's one thing to be kind of like 6-6 or 7-7 along those lines. So I mean, 13-2 in away games going back since 2024. I mean, that's nothing to hang your hat on.
Yeah, well, and the Seahawks have been another one of those really shocking teams this season.
Yeah.
Another shocking team, at least to me, is the Rams. I look at them. Not that I didn't think that the Rams would be good or that they wouldn't be contenders, but sitting there at 11-4, and they just lost a heartbreaker in overtime to Seattle, and
Yeah.
so another really good team. But Matthew Stafford throwing for 457 yards and three
Mm.
touchdowns in the game. He's got 40 touchdown passes and only 5 interceptions on the season. That's that. I mean, we always talk about it. You know how my favorite stat for quarterbacks is touchdown to interception ratio. That's like an 8-to-1 ratio.
That's
That's just
insane.
crazy. That's incredible. And right now, I think he's got to be the MVP favorite. I guess with that loss, I could see the favorite kind of going over to Drake May at this point, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I think right now he seems like the favorite to me. I did look it up. As of right now, it looks like he's minus 300, sitting there at the Vegas favorite. And what's crazy is like being 37 years old. We're talking about some old quarterbacks, with Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers. But how about Matthew Stafford playing at this high of a level, at just complete elite level? And I don't even think it's really comparable. I think this is quite possibly his best season of his entire career.
100%. I mean, you look at what Matthew Stafford has brought to the table since his time there, and it just seems like a complete different Matthew Stafford compared to what we like. Take nothing against Matthew Stafford. Like, you look at what he was like in Detroit, for example. Like, he was always that bend but no break kind of guy. He just couldn't have the big time front offensive line that what he has now. Like, it's been an absolute blessing for Matthew Stafford, especially the age of 37. That's absolutely mind boggling. I mean, like, you talk about the Rams, like, they're obviously still alive for the division, and especially for the 1 seed. Excuse me. Like, the biggest thing is though, they need to win out, and at Atlanta on Monday night, then back at home against Arizona against the Cardinals. Like, they need Seattle to lose one of their final 2 games, and then it's almost set in stone for them. Like, there's a lot that needs to happen, but look, these last 2 weeks are going to be the absolute craziest of the entire NFL. Then you look at another team, you got the San Francisco 49ers, who are currently set at 10-4. They clinched a playoff spot when Detroit lost to Pittsburgh, so they're already in here. But they're playing the Colts as of right now. I mean, they just went into halftime. It's currently 24-17. I can tell you that, and the San Francisco 49ers are up. There's the I just lost my train of thought. And if they went out, including in week 18, in Seattle, they could absolutely steal the division, honestly. So, like, you gotta be on your A game here, just because if one little win can absolutely bounce you, like, you're in some trouble, if I had to say so.
Yeah, and I think this NFC three-way race is pretty insane when you break it all down and look at all these three teams because all three of the teams all in the playoffs. And honestly, I think all three of these teams are legitimate Super Bowl contenders too. I don't think there's any one of these teams that I would take lightly. I think every single one of them is a team that you've got to watch out for, that you've got to be on your highest guard, and a true Super Bowl contender. I think all three teams can make a deep run, and that's what's so crazy right now here on the NFC, and all fighting for really seeding right now over these next 2 weeks, heading into the playoffs, trying to get that number one seed.
It's all about the seeding. It's absolutely crazy. But I mean, you talk about seeding, Josh. There's one specific seed that's crazy to think, and that's talking about the Chicago Bears here. I mean, this is got Bears, and like you got all those big time fans. I mean, this has literally been a historical season. Is what it feels like for Bears fans compared to the past couple years. I mean, there's one particular guy that you always gotta talk about when you bring up the Chicago Bears, Josh, and that is some guy by the name of Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I'm an Oklahoma fan, so I know all about him. And I mean,
Mhm.
where do I start? I mean, it's a guy that's, man, like I really thought maybe he fell off the face of the planet last year, but I realized, okay, he's with the Bears. We got to give him a little bit of time. And wow, I mean, I want to, I'll call him a kid, but I mean, he's this young man. I'll say, I think that's more proper. He's
Yeah.
had 6 comeback wins from fourth quarter deficits. That leads the entire NFL. And
That's
on Saturday
insane.
night against Green Bay, the Bears were down 16-6, 2 minutes left, which, according to ESPN's analytics, they had less than a 1% chance to win. And Caleb Williams leads them down the field for a field goal with about 1:59 left. Then they recover an onside kick, force overtime, and the Packers go 3-and-out. And then Caleb Williams throws a 46-yard walk-off touchdown to DJ Moore. An incredible ending to that game, and really led by Caleb Williams. And as incredible of a season as he's had, another guy, man, I feel like I don't really know what the odds are for Caleb Williams right now, but another guy that's at least in discussions for some people in that MVP talk as well.
100%. I'm pretty sure if I had to think for Caleb Williams, I think someone did tell him it was a 1% chance for them to win. I think Caleb said, "Hold my beer, watch this." I mean,
Yeah, no joke.
that was absolutely insane. I mean, like the crazy thing is, like that's not his first time like for a winning drive. That's his sixth winning drive this season. That's the most by any Bears QB since the 1970 merger. Like he's the only Bears QB to ever throw a touchdown in the final 30 seconds and in overtime in the same game. Like this is what the first year head coach with Ben Johnson on the helm. I mean, Ben Johnson was probably just thinking, no bleeping way that this just absolutely happened. I mean, Caleb Williams was definitely a star of the show for during that overtime session. Just realistically, the last 2 minutes of the game, like you talked about. But I mean, it's definitely crazy to think that the Chicago Bears sitting at sitting at 11-1 or not 11-1. I mean, just sitting at what they're sitting at. It's just absolutely mind boggling to see what they're doing right now.
Yeah, well, and I feel like it's a team too that with everything that they've changed there, it feels like they've finally gotten themselves back to what the Bears feel like they are. And in games outside of the NFC North, they're sitting at 9-1 in those games. So they've learned how to win close games. And Caleb Williams, he really seems like he's built for January football. I know he's not going to win the MVP, but like I said, I definitely think he's at least in the conversation with how clutch he's been and how impressive he's been this season.
100%, dude. He's been absolutely clutch. I mean, you said it the best. Like, if there was a runner up vote, I think he definitely has a really good shot at getting that shot. But I mean, talking about seeding, like going to number 3 seed, sitting in the Philadelphia Eagles, currently sitting at 10-5. Like they've clinched the NFC East. They're kind of just like they're just there. Like not playing great, but not playing terrible, but they're in. Like it's definitely crazy to think. Obviously, you look back to when Jason Kelsey was playing with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they still do it obviously with the tush push. Everyone always talks about. I mean, heck, the league tried to get it banned, but obviously we see how well that worked. It's just crazy to think like. Me, a big attribute obviously on that team was Jason Kelsey, but like that's time has passed, and obviously we still see him around every single week. But I mean, it's just crazy to think that it doesn't seem like the same team that we're used to seeing here, Josh.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's you look at the Eagles right now, and they're just not playing very convincingly at all.
Hmm.
But let's jump over to the NFC South, the one division that really has not been decided at all yet, and it's a
No.
really shocking division. The way that everything's kind of fell apart for Tampa Bay, it seemed like it was theirs for the taking, and
Hmm.
it seemed like, man, like this is a true contender this year, and then everything just seemed to fall apart. And I guess I hadn't been following them close enough to really pay attention to what it was exactly that happened. But then you got this past weekend where the Carolina Panthers, who are sitting at 8-7 after beating Tampa Bay now, so they beat Tampa Bay 23-20 this past weekend. Ryan Fitzgerald, uh, I mean, just the game winner there at the end with just over 2 minutes left and end up winning it. So you've got the Panthers. Man, I mean, this is the first time in forever. I forget what the stat was, but first time in forever that they've even been in contention, let alone winning the NFC South. This has been a division that has completely shifted in just about every way possible.
100%, Josh, and I'll sum it up for you for trying to find that stat. It's been forever. I'll put it that way. But I mean, talking about them and this guy by the name of Bryce Young, I mean, he's quietly really turned his career around under Dave Canales. I mean, the Panthers control really their destiny here. If they beat Seattle this upcoming Sunday, or if they beat Tampa in Week 18, they win their division. I mean, like that's crazy to think with everything that's going on here, but I mean, they literally control their own destiny. We can find out. But another team that's they're obviously in the hunt. I mean, talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and another great guy, obviously, I think you by the name of Baker Mayfield. I mean, they're on the late season slide here. They're currently 1-6 since their bye week in week 9. I mean, they have to beat Miami this week and then beat Carolina in week 18. I want your honest opinion, Josh. I mean, do they have a shot at it? I mean, talking about another Oklahoma quarterback here. I mean, can he make some magic happen, or what are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, I'm cheering for him. Obviously, I love Baker. I'll always be on Baker's side for anything.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like you said, going 1-6 since we. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's been such a downhill slide for them in this season. But they do have a shot, like you said. Just a few wins away. I mean, they've got two winnable games. I know
Yeah.
they're two tough winnable games, but still, you got Miami and then Carolina just come back and beat them. So it's two games that you know that they can win. It's just, can they piece things together? And even if they make it to the playoffs, do you really feel confident about the Bucks at this point after the downhill slide, especially here in the last half of the season, with how much
Yeah.
they've gone downhill? Shocking to say the least of how terrible they've looked, and just losing games that they shouldn't lose. Man, it's been disappointing for sure. Let's talk about the final playoff spot. That's the Packers sitting at 9-5-1. They just lost that brutal overtime game against the Bears that we talked about, and Jordan
Yeah.
Love, he left that game with a concussion. So they've got two hurt quarterbacks heading into what really, I mean, it is a must-win game against Baltimore on Saturday night. So if they lose that game and the Lions beat Minnesota on Christmas, then the Packers could actually miss the playoffs altogether. So they still have currently, according to ESPN, that they've got a 78% chance, but that number is probably dropping really fast if they end up losing this weekend.
Oh, 100%. That number will drop literally in the blink of an eye significantly. Like talking about the Detroit Lions, like they're sitting at 8-7 and fighting for that final spot. I mean, they lost to Pittsburgh this week, which clinched a playoff spot for San Francisco for the 49ers, of course. I mean, that was crazy to see the Detroit Lions go down like that, but you can never expect the unexpected here. I mean, they play Minnesota on Christmas Day, one of the three games on Netflix. I mean, it's crazy to think that it's already coming down to the final last couple weeks of the regular season, Josh, and then now we get into the playoffs, and then unfortunately it'll come to that time after the Super Bowl that the NFL will officially be over.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. quick predictions for the NFC. Let's just talk number one seed. Who comes away with that number one seed here in the NFC?
Realistically, I've been thinking about this because it's up in the air here, but I'm gonna go with the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I think if they win at Carolina, even if they lose to the 49ers in the last week of the regular season, I think I think the Rams drop one along the way. I'm just kind of picking back and forth between my brain a little bit. I mean, it's a lot to think about, but I'm going with Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks here. I mean, he's been putting up some great numbers here, and he's been playing pretty strong.
Yeah, and I like the Rams odds, and I love what Matthew Stafford's doing down the stretch. They're both these teams that we're talking about. I mean, true contenders. Really, all three
Hmm.
of the teams that you just mentioned, because the 49ers are as well, like serious contenders.
Yeah.
I think either three of them, like it would not surprise me one bit if they ended up winning this season. You think with the Rams. Stafford getting, I mean, he's been hot really all season, but if he just gets, has a real hot streak, and they end up winning out, and then of course with Seattle losing, if they were to lose to San Francisco, which is a tough game there, then you've got the Rams who really kind of steal the division and that number one seed, and Matthew Stafford could really cap that off with an MVP award. But I agree with you though. I think I'm sticking with the Seahawks to win the NFC as well because. I love what they're putting together, and then Charbonnet has been really fun too. I've been watching him
Yeah.
off and on, but he's been a really fun player, and just so many. It seems like a team of misfits. They're the Seattle Seahawks too, and that's what I love about them. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. We will be talking about the MVP race and so much more here on Rising to the Occasion. But for now, that is where we will leave you off as we get closer to playoff time. We appreciate everybody so much for tuning in to Rising to the Occasion. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow us on social media, and you can find everything we do at rising2.com. That's risingto.com. Check us out over there. Check out all that we do. But for now, that's all we've got. We appreciate everybody so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.